Hello, everybody. How you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and this is another episode of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Today is Tuesday, November the 20-something, 23rd, 22nd, something like that. But I know it's a Tuesday. And we are coming to you live. We are outside. It is early in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. The sun is still not up here in the great state of Georgia, here in the great city of Atlanta. We are hanging out. We are going to talk about something that's very important today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about email lists. But today, we are going to talk about why you should control your narrative as fast as you can. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? And the reason I bring this up, because as you well know here, we had this trial about the young man who shot 3 people in self-defense. He was found innocent. And you have all these people in the media, you know, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, who is, you know, they keep using the same sort of story about this kid. You know, they keep saying he crossed state lines, when in fact, if you have a map, because somebody told me, because I really never paid attention to much of the case, and then towards the end, somebody told me, they said, you know, he lives in, they told me the town of Illinois, his mom lives in that town, and his dad lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and if you look at a map, they're right across the border from each other. So, you know, it's sort of like, I lived in Kansas City for 2 months. I lived in Kansas City, Missouri for 2 months, and if you ever look at a map, you go to Kansas City, Missouri, it's right on the border of Kansas. So if you lived in, let's say you worked in Kansas, let's say you worked in Kansas City, Kansas, and you lived in Kansas City, Missouri, every day you would cross state lines. Every day you go back and forth from Missouri to Kansas, you know. So is that really crossing state lines? Technically, yes, but no. You know, if it's 5-10 minutes away, it's sort of, you know, it's sort of hacky to say. It's sort of hacky to say that, but that's how the media portrayed it, you know. And then they said he carried an AR-15 across state lines, when in fact he got the AR-15 when he was in Wisconsin. So I say all that not to talk about the case and all that jazz, but to say you want to control your own story. You want to control your own narrative. You want to get out of. Now I'm not saying. Now listen. You have to grow an audience. You have to build an audience. You know, don't get me wrong. You have to do that. That's a must. But when you do, when you finally grow the audience the way you want it to grow, you should look into apps. You should look into your own type of, you know, how to build apps, how to build a website. You want to build as much stuff as you can to control your world, to control your own narrative. You want to have your own media. You want to be your own media empire if you can be, you know, and or just build your. If you the better you build your world, the better off you will be. You know, you won't have any outside entities, and that's why I say you can rely on Facebook, but don't depend on Facebook. There's a big difference. You don't want to get caught up in the Facebooks and the YouTubes and all this stuff, you know, the Google AdWords and all this stuff, because we all know if you skew on the left side of things, if you're on more conservative side, there's a better chance you could get banned either way. Don't get me wrong, you probably can get banned. You know, doesn't matter. You know, your political, you know, astutes. But from what I see, a lot of times, the more you know, conservative, the more left you lean, or I mean, the more conservative you lean, the better chance you got to get, you know, hacked off the big tech stuff, you know. And so, if you could come up with your own, if you could come up with an app for yourself, create your own videos and put them up in the app, you know, put your podcast up in that app, you would be a lot better off, and it would be very smart. So that way you can put your blog post in the app, and so that way you won't have all this, especially because if you give an opinion that people don't like, they're gonna try to get you banned. They're gonna try to get you canceled. They're going to do everything in their power to get you out of there. You know what I mean? Before you grow, before you blossom. You know, and it's just a whole lot better if you control your own narrative. It's a whole lot better, and that's why you should, create an email list so that way, no matter if you do get kicked off Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, you can always email people and say, hey, I'm over here, I'm over there, I'm over here, I'm over there. And the time these days to build your own world is a lot better than what it used to be, There's no gatekeepers. There's nobody blocking you. There's nobody stopping you. You can build your own little world. Just there's good examples. I watched this show on PBS about William Randolph Hearst, and he built his own media empire. He built his own he had newspaper after newspaper. And he wanted to run for a political position, so he just used his newspaper and. He ran smear campaigns on other people. He talks about how he would do this, he would do that. He controlled his own narrative, and it's better than somebody controlling your narrative. It's better than you going on, because we see it all the time now. Let's say you do an interview, you go on The View, and I just saw this sportscaster. She's a lovely lady, and she does the Sunday night football games. Michelle Tafoya. She was on The View, and she asked one simple question. It wasn't nothing bad, and clearly she's not like, she doesn't have any kind of political, the question she asked was not anything, bad. She just said she has a son, of course, a son is Caucasian, and he had friends, and then for some reason they started some kind of critical race theory or something like that, and they separated his two friends and they put them in another class or something like that. And she just asked the question, why can't they just be, why does it always have to fall back into race? She said something like that, which is it's not a bad question. It's a very truthful question. It's like, why does everything have to be about race? And so she asked that question, and then Whoopi Goldberg just bit her head off. It was like, white people, and it's like, come on, man, It's like she asked one simple question, and Whoopi Goldberg got all offended. And I thought, oh no, not you, Whoopi, but that is, and then let's say something happens to Michelle Tafoya, she says something. They'll say, oh, you remember this clip here? Blah, 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 blah. And they'll pull it out and they'll skew it to where it looks like she's racist because she just asked one stupid question, And so the more you are able to control your world, the more you're able to build your world, the more you are able to control things, control the narrative, the better off you will be. So I highly suggest you build up a following, you get your YouTube going, you get your podcast going, you get all that stuff going. Save those videos. Make sure you saving those videos. Make sure you saving the podcast. Make sure you labeling the podcast. And then when you get to where you want to go, you're making enough money, by all means, get an app, because nobody can shut down your app. Nobody can shut down, if you have 200 videos, YouTube can easily shut you down. They can kick you off, I remember this guy used to watch every night on YouTube named CoffeeZilla. He busts people on the internet about being frauds and stuff, and he got up to like 500,000 followers. And one day he said they just kicked him off of YouTube, and he had to write him a note and all this kind of stuff. And he said that's all it's a lot of my business, And so you just don't want to get into, you just don't want to be at the behoovement of others. You just don't want to be at the mercy of big tech, and I'm not here to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's a fact now. Now it's getting worse, if you say I'm against abortion or whatever, it's more than likely you'll get kicked off one of these platforms. You know what I mean? If you say, Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter group is con artists, which could be true. They might kick you off, you don't know. And you definitely, I remember they asked Tony Dungy, because he's a man of faith. As I am a man of faith, but Tony Dungy, he knows the Bible back and forth. I don't know the Bible back and forth, but they asked him about homosexuality, and he said something. He gave an answer. He said, I'm not against people, but I do believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, and people got offended, and people was like, cancel Tony Dungy, and it's like, if Tony Dungy really wanted to, go into that more and more, and they would kick him off. They would kick him off NBC because he does sports on NBC. They would kick him off that. And then he would have nowhere to go, so he would have to start out his own little platform, And so, for anybody with an opinion, a strong opinion, an opinion that's going against the grain, I highly suggest that you looking to get your own app, creating an app or getting on somebody's app platform, It's not hard to find. There's a few of them that you can start doing, and apps are the way to go because most people now look at their phones. That people are getting off the computers too. So having an app eventually will probably be. It's just like how everybody has a podcast. Soon everybody have an app. So if you want to jump on board now before it gets really bad out there, I suggest you do that. But that way you can control your narrative. Always back up your email list just in case MailChimp. AWeber kick you off because they will. I've been kicked off MailChimp before, okay? They would kick you off for fun. So you have to be careful about all that as well. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just here to say, be careful. If you have a different opinion, if you lean a certain way, you definitely got a better chance to get kicked off. And I highly suggest you build up your own world, create your own digital platform, digital content, create things that you can control, create things that you are in charge of, create things that you are the boss of, and do not, you can use the YouTubes and the Facebooks and all that, use them until you get to the point where you don't need them. All right, that is the whole key. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the podcast. We will be back tomorrow with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.